All right. Hello and welcome to my real chicken math course. So I thought it would be a fun play on words to actually, like this is the real chicken math part of the chickens and not the, fun part of buying a million chickens at the store. So I've definitely been caught up in that. I'm gonna get the screen sharing going and we will get started because honestly, I think it's going to be an hour. I hope that it's an hour. I didn't do a test run, so I apologize if it's longer than an hour. All right. Can you guys see that? Let me go to full screen. All right. Let's see. Can you guys see that? Because I can't see anything on. Okay. Thank you, Lisa, for the thumbs up. Okay, good. Because it doesn't let me see anything in the Zoom stuff. Okay. All right, so real chicken math, a guide to investing in meat chickens. I made this beautiful slideshow. Oh, so exciting. Okay, what we're gonna learn today is how many birds we should get, financing birds, and what kind of supplies we're going to need, the cost of birds, and some ideas of where to buy them, startup costs, feed costs, processing and butchering costs, and of course, my helpful frugal tips. Because raising six kids in this economy, I've got to get creative. So, my name is Miranda. I have six children. My husband and I, we have six children. We have two dogs, six cats, 50 plus laying birds, and that includes chickens, geese, ducks, and turkeys. We live on a small homestead in Ingham County, which is in mid-Michigan. We've had chickens for over 10 years, and this is our second year large scale farming them. We did do some smaller batches, like 25 to 30 a couple of times, but this year we're going to be doing 200 again. So, all right, our business, Earth Art Homestead, we created it last year. Um, we wanted to have something because before it was just like my business, and then we wanted to have something where our entire family could contribute and whatever things that they were good at. So I love herbalism and making topical products with things that I grow. And my daughter makes crochet decor and wares. So that's the type of stuff that you'll see if you visit us at any craft shows this year. We also have meat chicken CSAs available and in-person butchering classes and some more in-person classes that we'll talk about afterwards if you guys are interested in those. This real quickly, if you want to take a screenshot to check out these later. So this is our website, our Facebook page. We do have a free group now and a paid group. So our free group is for anybody, and our paid group is if you've signed up for one of our courses, then you can be in the paid group and I can find you because I've been having a little bit of trouble tracking people down lately. And in person, where we're going to be this spring. So May 16th through 17th, we are going to be at the Mitten Homesteaders Conference in Lake Odessa. This QR code takes you right to their website if you want to check it out. We did it last year. It was so much fun. It's I think the family rate is like $45 for the family or something. I don't know. It was super affordable for all eight of us to go last year. It was definitely worth it. There's all sorts of like it's conference style, and then you can pay like additional for specific courses, whatever you're feeling. It's over the course of 2 days. We'll be there both days. It is so much fun. They have stuff for the kids too. Like they have a kiddie tent that has like crafts and projects and then on May 3rd, we are going to be at Family Farm and Home in Mason, Michigan. Um, Not Your Average Crafters is having a show that day there, and we will be vending. Okay. All right, let's jump right in. So, how many birds should I get? How many times a week do you want to eat chicken? That's the best way to do the chicken. or figure out how much chicken you want. So for our example, we're going to say, I want to eat chicken about 1 time a week, which means I need to raise like 52 birds. And for the sake of our lesson, we're going to raise an even 50 because I thought that would be easier with all of the twos and the fours added in there. Okay, so we personally raise about 200 so that we can have chicken about 3 to 4 times a week. Our family is so large that we raise our birds as big as we can get them. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then, I mean, honestly, it takes like 2 birds for a meal for us. So it just makes sense for us to do so many birds. All right. Financing birds and supplies. Excuse me. So this is where you're going to want to be thinking ahead if it's something that you want to do this year, or if it's something that you want to budget in for next year, or if it's something you want to um, take credit for or take out some credit for, or you can use your income tax return. That's really the gist of it. So you could either budget in for it for next year or however many years you think that you want to do it. Take out some credit. Family Farm and Home actually has a decent card that has a 12-month 0% interest on it. So if it's something where you know you're getting income tax return money back, you can, but you want to start the birds now, that might be an interesting thing for you to play around with. Do not go in debt chasing meat birds. That is never a good idea because it's just going to cost you so much more in the long run. So if you can't make it work this season, don't worry because you can start taking out little bits here and there. And by the end of it, you'll know how much you need to save for each month or week or whatever, however you're budgeting, so that you can figure out how much you need to save. And then you'll be set to go because you don't want to go into debt doing this. You'll just pay extra in the long run. Let's see. Okay, so bird costs and where to buy them. I put some examples here. These are all the places where I have personally ordered birds from in the past. Hoover Hatchery, they have straight run. And if you don't know what straight run means, that means that it's roosters and hens. Roosters get much larger than the hens do, but that means they eat more too. So I like doing straight run. That way you can have some bigger birds and some smaller birds. They also are not shipping this year, I found out. So apparently that because of the bird flu situation that and all the birds that have been killed off, the everybody's, panic buying chickens this year. And all the places are like running out or they're super behind. So let's see. Cackle Hatchery. I love Cackle Hatchery. I love them so much. Especially their giant surprise boxes, but that's not for meat birds. So in this course, I'm specifically talking about the Cornish cross birds. They do have other like I call them laying birds because for me they and they call them broilers on their website. They can take more like 20 to 30 weeks to get to size. And that's kind of like the typical laying hen also. So you're just going to have to figure out what exactly you want. We're talking about actual meat birds here, the ones that are full size within 8 to 12 weeks. Cackle Hatchery, love them. They have straight run, minimum of 3. So for example, 50 birds are going to cost 161.50. Their shipping and handling is 38.50. I have had like all of my birds arrive dead from them before, and they completely refunded me. So I absolutely trust them. This year, everybody's having really bad problems with USPS having a surcharge, and then their workers like being really like putting the birds into stupid situations. So whether they're like freezing or they're getting delayed in shipment. So that's why they're putting this extra charge on here because it's an extra hassle, I guess. This is the first year that they have done this. I've never had an issue with it before. So with all that being said, it comes out to $228.59 or $457 a bird. So the reason why I have like right here where it says $4.50 to $3 per bird is because the more you buy, the more you save. And it usually runs on like a sliding scale of like 1 to 20 and then or 1 to 20 or 25, then 25 to 50. And so the more you buy, the more you are going to save and the cheaper it's going to be the bird. But like I said, we're doing 50 birds for our course today, so we're just going to say that they're 457 a bird if you were going to buy them from Cackle Hatchery. So same thing with Marie McMurray. They're 425 to 312 per bird. Um, and the hens are cheaper on the cheaper side here. But like I said, they eat less, they weigh less. Um, and they do have free shipping and uh on if you buy 15 plus more or 25 plus more birds per the year. Our example of 50 birds is 182 plus 15 equals 197 or 394 per bird. Unfortunately, I just found out this morning in one of the meat bird groups that people are having issues with Marie McMurray this year. So some people who ordered earlier in the season are getting their actual birds. And then the people that are starting to order right about now, it's hit or miss if their orders are getting canceled or not. Some people were saying that they their bird said that they were going to ship next week, which would be this week, and then they just got a cancellation notice saying that their whole entire order was canceled. So this place is sketchy to me now. So be cautious if that ends up being your only option. These are just examples. There's tons of places out there. Um, in most places, if they don't have, if you type in like shipping on their site, it'll show you what their shipping is. If there's that $15 fee, everybody's gonna have that $15 fee this year. Um, but I mean, like, this is, an example of the research here. Okay, so Town Line Hatchery, they're actually based out of Michigan. So I really like that because that's local, keeps like, the shipping yuck down from being shipped from so far away. Um, they ended up being the cheapest actually for shipping birds out of these guys that I did. Um, and I have a free shipping at a question mark 'cause I didn't see it anywhere on their site, but I was not going to like try to figure out like creating an account because when I did it before it was a couple years ago and I don't know my account info, so I didn't feel like playing that game. But it looked like it was free shipping, didn't say anything anywhere. So they end up being about 337 per bird. Okay, but so here's the thing, my frugal tips here, Dom. Family Farm and Home. I got Family Farm and Home chickens last year on a crazy whim. I woke up one morning and my neighbor was telling me he's texting me and he's like, yeah, he's like the hatchery by where my wife's family lives is they're burning all the birds and or killing all the birds, and I was like, oh no, like panic buy, like I totally panic bought my birds last year. We were planning on doing it, but I woke up that morning and I was like went straight over to Family Farm and Home and they had clearance birds. I got clearance birds, 100 of I think they had like 125 that where they were clearancing them out for. They were like $1 something a bird. It was super amazing. Like if you can like magically like find clearance to meet birds, it is such like a huge blessing. It's like the stars aligned. Um, but if not, this year they are about 50 cents per bird more expensive. They are 349 per bird when they're not on sale. And that's not with tax, I think. Okay, so it goes right down here I did. So what I did is they went on sale a couple of weeks ago and they go on sale, out of sale all the time. I caught them when they were on sale. And that's just, like we're signed up for the flyer. We get the flyer in the mail. It's super, like, oh, the meat birds are on sale again. I went in there with four of the kids and I was like, hey, if I order a large quantity of birds, do you think that you guys can give them to me with the sale price? Because I know that the limit says that it's like 20 birds, but as you can see, like I have this plethora of children and 20 birds is not going to be enough. I need like 200 birds. And the manager was like, yeah, sure, I think I can do that for you. Like you gotta charm them a little bit, play into the emotional side a little bit. So that because what they're looking for is they're looking for honesty. And right now, what people are doing is they're going in and they're buying all of the birds and then they're reselling them for more than what Family Farm and Home is selling them for. Definitely watch that if you're looking like to buy birds like on Marketplace and those types of things, because that's definitely a huge scam that's going around this year. So I got all of our 200 birds. They were $2.65 per bird, which ended up being, I think it was like five something total. Well, I gotta get my little nifty sheet of paper. I forgot to put it on here for you guys. I even had to print out everything. Ended up being $530 for 200 meat birds. Now that is a steal. I know it doesn't sound like it is, but it is totally a steal. All right. Startup costs. So if you have never raised chickens before, you're going to need a brooder, someplace where the baby chicks can go before they get their adult feathers, because chickens cannot regulate their own temperature. Think of like a mama chicken setting on the baby chickens. These are just like laying hens in the beginning. They are super tiny and they need heat and support and love and fresh wood chips and lots of water and more food than you can ever possibly imagine feeding them. Like you're like, you guys need more food, more food. So some of the things that people use are like a tote, a kiddie pool, or a stock tank. In the picture, I have our stock tank. I really love the stock tanks. Except I wish that we would have used a tarp in the bottom of them from the very beginning, because over time they have started to rust and the layers are coming apart. So if you decide to invest in a stock tank, just get the tarp to protect the inside. It's going to make it last longer. We are on, I think, probably like our 8th year with our stock tanks, and I'm going to lose the bottom of one of them. I think it's going to break through this year. I can feel it. So don't be like me. Don't ruin your bottoms. It's not worth it. They will last so much longer. You're going to need brooder plates or a heat lamp. I have pictures of these things as we go. I'll point them out. Feed and water dishes, wood chips. You can see my setup right here. Oh, you can't see my lights and my brooder plates, but you'll see them later. Um, when they grow out, when they get bigger, when they start getting their adult feathers, which meat birds aren't going to get a full set of feathers like a regular chicken. They're going to be sparse, and it's just the way of the chickens, but they generate a lot of heat. So they're not as problematic. Like they can go outside, they're not going to die from having no feathers. They're going to need a tractor or a coop. And then if you do put them into a tractor situation, you're going to need predator protection, meaning you're going to need a completely enclosed area for them to sleep at night, that is sealed, but also that can get airflow through because you don't want to suffocate them. What you want to do is keep out the raccoons and the minks and all of the other little snaky like critters that are going to come in there and try to eat your delicious birds, including owls, because I never would have thought I would have had a problem with owls, but I have had a problem with owls eating my meat birds. And some people like to invest in getting a livestock guardian dog. My Australian Shepherds are worthless. They will just try to eat the chickens themselves. Don't get Australian Shepherds. Or electric fencing is a really good option. I know a lot of people, a lot of fellow farmers who use electric fencing, but I have not personally used it. We actually well, actually, I'll talk about that when we get to the tractor coop thing. Okay, you're gonna need larger feed dishes and water dishes, and we'll go over those too. All right. So I put some prices up here for you guys so you guys can see what kind of things that we're looking at. At Family Farm and Home, honestly, it really is just my favorite place to go, and it's some place that a lot of us have. We know it. And as much as I would love to buy from like local places, they're all getting the same stuff from the same places. And because they're smaller, they got to mark it up more. And it just sucks. But listen, I have to think about long-term things here and I need to save money. So, Family Farm and Home, the Tough Tote storage tote, it's the 27-gallon ones. They are black bottoms with the yellow lids. They also sell them at Costco. Now, I have seen them go on sale at Costco for $9.99 a tote. We have stocked up at them there, but I know not everybody has a Costco membership. And they are at various other places as well. Now, the tote has a dual purpose because the tote can it can be a place where you can do like have them when they're in their brooder, like as a brooder, you can just put wood chips right down in it. You can get your brooder plate or a light in there. And it works great for that. And then at the end of the season, like you can also put a tarp in there if you want. At the end of the season, you can clean the tote out, spray a little bleach water in there and then you can put your supplies. So like your watering dishes and your plates or your lights, all of your supplies that you do not want to lose or have the kids throw about the yard or put it in a weird place in your garage and then it accidentally gets broken. You can put it all in your tote. And then you can put a little fancy label on your tote, even if you have to do it with a Sharpie marker. And you can say, this is my chicken tote. And you're going to put it in a place where you're going to remember it because that's what I have to do. Um, all right. Some people use the round plastic wading pools, which are like the blue, like hard plastic kiddie pools. Those run about $12 to $16, depending on where you buy them. Usually, you can find those at Family Farm and Home. During spring season, they run sales on them constantly. That's another great place or another great idea for using as a brooding chamber. Or you can get a stock tank. I put the stock tank that I personally recommend on here. It's a 3 foot by 2 foot by 8 foot. Um, I have two of these. I can fit 100 birds in each one. And those cost $349.99 this year. I will say when we bought them, they were like 150. That's how much they have went up since before COVID. Totally sucks, but they like I can't imagine doing the chickens really any other way because they're so much taller than all the other options of things that I have tried over the years. And you can set things on top of them, like we have used like old metal shelving, old screen doors, to keep the chickens from jumping around. Like if you're doing laying hens, the meat birds are not going to be crazy psycho like the laying hens are. So you don't have to worry about that as much. But if you don't want stuff getting into them, you can put stuff on there and they still have plenty of room to play and move around and eat and eat and eat and poop and poop and poop. So, poultry waters with the legs, 1 gallon size. These are my favorite ones because if you don't get the ones with the legs, you are going to have to set them on a brick. And normally I would say just if you want to keep this as cheap as possible, you can get like a dish, but then you're going to have a bunch of birds floating around in the dish dead, and then that's going to be a waste. Invest in the poultry water with the legs, the 1 gallon. If you can get ones that are bigger, do it because when you have to go outside and go give those things water like 3 to 6 times a day, you're going to wish you got the bigger ones. But for now, let's like focus like the one in my picture back there. Those ones were the 1 gallon ones. Those ones are great. I have 3 gallon ones that I do for when they get bigger. And then I actually switch to like rubber dishes when they when they get bigger. And I think that's on here too, y'all. It is. Okay. So another thing is that when they're brooding, when they're in their brood chamber here, they need some sort of bedding. I like the big wood shave or the medium-sized wood shavings. Those are gonna cost $6.79. For Oh, I forgot about the feeder. I totally skipped that. So those are gonna cost $6.79. They go on sale a lot too, for like 4 something a bag. We stock up when they go on sale, and however many birds you get is what is going to depend on like how often you're going to need to change them. When they're little, I probably can get away with not changing them for like 3 or 4 days. But when they start getting bigger, I have to change them every single day. I think we went through about, for the 200 meat birds, we went through, I should have wrote this down for you guys. We went through, I think it was like 18-ish bags of wood chips. Could have been, yeah, I think it was right around that much. Um, we do them a little thinner, just to make the bag stretch a little bit more. But it's gonna be totally personal preference. Now, things that I've used in the past as well have been like actual wood chips, that are dried out. So if you have something that you can, use wood chips, or if you want to, and they have to be natural ones as well, because if you get those colored ones from the store, they could risk hurting your birds. I like these ones the best. But there are other options. Let's go back to the poultry feeder right here, so I forgot about that. Okay, so these ones were the ones also in the picture. Let me go back so you guys can see the picture. Go back. There we go. Okay, so like these long red ones right here, these are the ones I like the best for when they're little chicks right here, because it spaces them out. I put two of these in here with, this is about 100 birds in this tank. So the 1 gallon feeders, and then two of these feeders right here. It spaces them out really good. Um, those are my favorites. We've used them for years. At the end of the season, we just wash them really good and then stick them in the tote. And so the kids don't break them, because they have, and they will. They'll be like, "Ooh, a sand toy." And then the lid flops off the thing and breaks, and yeah, 6.99 down the toilet. So, if I'm doing 50 birds, you could probably get away with one. Two would be better. It's going to stretch it out a bit. Okay. Oh, feed pan. Yep, here's my feed pan. Okay. The feed pans, they're 7 gallons. They're plastic. Well, they're not plastic, they're rubber. They're plasticky rubber. Um, these things are amazing. I bought, I made a buy last year, like 11 or 12 of them. Um, because these are not going to be for your baby chickens. These are going to be for the monsters that you have grown out, when they get old enough to not drown themselves in the water. I switched to the water, but these are really great for to switch to the feed early too. Um, they just go through it so fast. Like, you need something huge, and these ones are rubber. They're I don't know why it says plastic. They're rubber. They're like, you can feel like they feel like a tire. And they're really great for I even use them for the laying hens for during the winter, because when the water gets frozen in it, all you gotta do is just like stomp that thing out real quick, and like you can bend it, and they're just amazing. I love them. Okay. Uh-oh, my camera made a noise. Can you guys still hear me? I don't know if it shut off. Oh crap. Show grid video. Good? Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Okay. Whoopsie. Hi. Accidentally come out of my meeting. Okay, let's try that again. All right. Where did it go? Oh, it says I'm still screen sharing. Oh, here. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. This is my first. Where is my screen sharing? This is my first time doing it like this, so. Can you guys see the screen sharing thing? I'm having user fail real bad. Can you?
No, we can still see.
Because I can't see it now. Okay, there we go. I got it. Okay, good. We're good. We're good. Thank you. Okay. Tech is not my thing. Chickens are my thing. Budgeting is my thing, but not the computer. Okay, where are we here? Poultry heat lamp fixture without clamp. You don't want the one without the clamp. I don't know why it says without clamp on there. Get the one with the clamp. You want the one with the clamp. I think they're right on that same price. They go on sale all of the time. You can usually get them for like $8 or $9. Um, if you're doing if you're doing the lamps, Um, if you're doing 50 birds, you can get away with one lamp. Two would probably be better if you're starting out super early. Like if you were to get meat birds right now, I would definitely recommend two lamps. If you're starting meat birds in May, June, July, you could get away with one lamp because it's going to be hot enough wherever you're doing it at. And then you're also going to need to get heat bulbs. Those run about 11.99 for a two pack. And everything's all in the lovely spot of the chicken season at the store. I love it. Okay, some other things that I added that I didn't think about too were like an extension cord. If your area is far away from somewhere where you can plug it in, so like where we have our birds, we have to have two 100-foot extension cords, and those things are expensive. So at the store, they're going to run you anywhere between 20 to $90, depending on how big you want them. So like 20 is going to be like a 25-foot, I think. That might have been, yeah, that's right. I think so. You'll just have to double check. So, and then the 100-foot was $89. Okay, but here, frugal tip. This is a bonus frugal tip because I didn't add it in at the end. Check on Marketplace. We just scored two ones that they're well over 150 foot. We didn't measure them, but and then one of them that was 100 foot. And the guy gave us all three of them for $50. It was like extension cord steal of the century. So if you need an extension cord, check on Marketplace first because woo, good savings. Okay, and tarps. So for the tarps for the stock tank that I was talking about, those are going to run you about $15 and those will fit into the stock tank. Okay. This website right here, premieronesupplies.com. I have used them for years. I love them so much. They are so helpful, so nice. And if you have any problems, they're super helpful. I actually prefer using a brooder heating plate. I put the prices here for you. So like ones that hold 15 chicks is $45. One that holds 20 chicks is $55. Ones that hold 30 is $66. And one that holds 50 is $85. I actually have four of these. So I have two in each stock tank. They do make covers that go on top of them. I have never invested in the covers. They look like they'd be amazing to keep the chickens off the tops of them, but you know what? It takes up real estate, and the chickens like to sit on them. So I don't mind scraping the poop off the top of them. That's personal preference. Plus, it saves me money not having to buy the covers. I mean, it takes me what, like 3 minutes to scrape the poop off. Totally not worth getting the covers. Always, always, always throw in an extra leg or two when if you're going to go with a brooder plate because you are going to break one. It's inevitable. It's going to be an accident, and you're going to say probably a cuss word. And yeah, you'll just be happier if you have extra legs. Trust me. So, and then this light right here. Okay. So this light is called the Prima Heat Lamp Kit and it comes with its light bulb. I do not have a picture of it. I should have gotten a picture for it. We're going to get one this year. I'm super excited. It looks like a regular lamp fixture, but it has this like fancy plastic case that goes around it so that if a bird was to jump up, it is not going to hit the light bulb and knock the light bulb down. I have used the brooder plates and I've used the heat lamps. The heat lamps always like you're constantly having to check to make sure that the light bulbs not jiggling around in the fixture. And then also they have ones that have like a metal thing around the end of it to help prevent, if something jumps up to hit it too. But using the heat lamps, it's just a bigger risk of starting a fire. And I'm always the person where I'm like, that'll never happen to me. And then one time when we had heat lamps on our rabbits during a really cold part of winter, I had this precognitive dream there that one of the lamps started a fire and it like fell out of the housing and started a fire. And I asked my husband, I was like, can you go out to the garage and just go double check the heat lamps for me? Because like I can't shake this unless I know the heat lamps are secure. And so he went out there and he checked them and he came in and he's like, yeah, one of them was just hanging in there, like one wrong move and it would have shattered and it probably would have started a fire. So since then I switched to the Brooder heating plates. They're so much safer, so much more worth the investment. For me, I know that some people hate them. This is going to be a personal preference, trial and error. Maybe you're going to start off with a heat lamp and just keep an extra good eye on it and double checking it all of the time because it's what you can afford. And then you can save up for a Brooder plate later if you're going to do it in the future. Um, or if you want to just jump right in and kind of like split the difference here of using the Brooder heat lamp, the Prima one, this cool new one with the plastic cover thingy. That's an option too. I wanted to throw that in there. I'm getting one this year so I can experiment with that. Premier One Supplies also does free shipping on orders over 100 or more and that are under 100 pounds. So that's I always try to, get it so that my order's over $100. There's always something fancy homesteading wise on that website. All right. Let's see. Okay. So the biggest expense here. Okay, so the biggest expense, go away. There's this little thing here. Okay. Um, let's see. All right. Oops. And I hit it one too long. Okay. Our biggest expense here, and the one that is going to be the most unknown out of the whole entire thing is, are you doing a coop or are you doing a tractor? Because if you have an existing building of something that you can predator proof doors and windows and add vents into, that is going to be the most ideal situation right there. If you do not have that, you are going to have to do some research here on what you want. Some people have used those prefab sheds and they've added vents to them. And then they've also predator proofed the door. A really cheap way to predator proof the door is to get the brackets where you can put a 2x4 and you would put one at the top of the door and one at the bottom of the door so that the predators can't dig up underneath of the door and they can't like obviously get in the top part either. That would be ideal. Those sheds are going to, depending on how big you want to get them, their price range is going to be all over the place. Um, so that this is the one part of the whole entire thing where I'm not going to be able to help you figure out the cost of these because I don't know what you have. Another option is a chicken tractor. These are becoming super popular. So many people are using them. Um, the pros of having a chicken tractor is that you don't have to use wood chips as much, especially when they get older, because once they can go out once they're done in the brooder chamber, you put them out in the tractor, and you move it around your yard. So there's also no cleanup. It's super easy, and it also fertilizes whatever area you're working with. Um, so, whoopsie, I did it again. Okay. So that's a bonus too. So if you were like, I want to turn this one area into a garden the next year, I'm going to run these chickens through it, fertilize the ground. It's going to be great. Yeah. The cons is that it's got to be moved regularly. I'm talking like maybe once every 2 days or so. You also need to have more land. And they're harder to predator proof. So like if you do have a chicken tractor, it's back to, are you getting a dog to protect your chickens or are you going to use some electric fencing? And now some cons that I didn't put on here about the electric fencing too is if the power goes out, there goes your predator protection. If you get a short in the line somewhere, there goes your predator protection. And just faulty electrical stuff happens. So Okay, so if you're using, okay, so I put a greenhouse on here because it's something that most people don't think about. And the only reason why I think it's such a great idea is because it creates a lot of heat, so it helps with that brooder chamber stage. My husband actually made a greenhouse out of windows. Like if you guys have seen like out on social medias, they were pretty popular like thing over the last like 5 years or so, where somebody just like they collect old windows, or windows laying at the end of the road, or just, windows everywhere. And you just use all the windows, you piece them together like a giant puzzle. And we predator proof the door. We made sure it was ventilated. Um, And it was originally supposed to be a greenhouse, but it was so perfect for like a brooding chamber and then like growing like the teenager meat birds out, that it turned it into a wonderful thing. Um, and okay, so the pros of the coop, the shed, or the greenhouse, is that it's going to be easier to predator proof. The costs or the cons is that it's going to need to be cleaned all the time, which means you're going to need to get more wood chips. Um, and you also have to like think about like run size as well. You're going to have a fence in area with a run, and that's going to add up too. However, I will say people love throwing out fencing that um is I mean like I can't even like not okay. For example, we have found people's like chain link fence, like pieces of it that were long enough to patch together with other pieces that we have found to make fencing, and you just can zip tie them to T-posts. We have found that orange that orange plastic fencing, like that bright stuff. I don't know what it's called. We found that in somebody's garbage that we have around one of our orchards, and that would work too. Um, we have used, oh, this is my favorite. We have used the netting that goes around a trampoline, like you cut it at the zipper point. And then you can use that as a fencing as well. You can get stakes and stake it into the ground. Or you can just set like boards or rocks on it or something. Like meat birds are so docile, they're not going to try to escape, especially when you become the hand that feeds them. They're going to see you and they are going to run to you like their life depends on it. They are not going to want to wander and leave. So fencing, you can get super creative with it. We're always garbage picking or looking for people's garbage on the side of the road to pick up fencing. That's yeah. If not, um, Family Farm and Home has this is my favorite one. If we actually need like real nice looking fencing, like we have to put up a perimeter fence, on the property, they do the 2x4. And the 6 foot would be fine. Even the 4 foot would be fine for the meat birds. We actually have our laying hens. We have the 8 foot, with our laying hens. I really like that one. Um, but yeah, so I mean this is something that I just every situation is going to be different here. But it gives you guys a good idea of what you need to look for. So yeah, and if you guys have any questions, of course, we're going to answer them at the end. Write them down. Okay, and why is this thing at the top of my screen not going away? There we go. Okay. All right, feed costs. So this looks scary when you first look at it. And if you aren't adding it up as you're going and you're not like budgeting it in, this gets really scary. So I put down a lot of different types of feeds to give you guys some ideas of what's out there. So at Family Farm and Home, and you can get these anywhere like Tractor Supply. Tractor Supply does not carry the Kalmbach feeds. But they do have like the Country Spirit and the Purina and Nutrina. And then they have like their own brand or whatever. Okay, so this one is the non-medicated starter finisher. I think all meat bird is starter finisher. Um, I prefer that. It just is easier. Um, this one's a 50-pound bag. So this is something that make sure you double check when you're buying your feed, because look at this one is 50 pounds and it's 19.99. But this Country Spirit here, you're going to look at and go, "Oh, it's cheaper. I'm going to get that one because it's only 15.99." But it's a 40-pound bag. So you got to watch this because they try to be tricky. So like back when I started with chickens, and that was over 10 years ago now, you could get a bag of non-organic layer feed for like $6. Okay. And the organic stuff was like $12. Okay. That is insane because The feed is 3 times as expensive as it used to be, if not more. Okay. So we have the non-medicated starter grower. I like to do the non-medicated because I put apple cider vinegar in their water when they're babies. And also making sure because that helps with pasty butt. And pasty butt is when the poop gets built up on the outside of their vents and you have to clean it off, or else it will get so backed up that they will die. And it is sad and gross. And the best way to prevent this is to put apple cider vinegar in their water. And this is something that when they're like for the first 2 weeks, we go out there every single day and we're checking butts every single day. This is where having many children comes in handy because it makes the job much faster. Um, okay, we sidetracked here. Okay, the calm back, the poultry feed, the non-GMO, non-medicated starter finisher. Um, and let's see. That one is 50 pounds and it is 22.49. This is the one that we get. It's where I'm at right now. It's not the cheapest and it is not the most expensive. I wish that I could get this organic one down here. That's on special order. But look at that, 27.99 per 35-pound bag. That is so expensive. I hope that I can get there someday. But right now, this is where I'm at right now. These go on sale all the time. You can get them for on sale. I got my trusty paper here. All right, on sale and with a pallet discount. So if you buy 40 bags of feed and if you're doing 200 chickens, you're going to need probably like oh gosh, we went through 40 bags of feed last year, though I'm doing things a little bit differently this year. We went through 40 bags of feed last year. Um, oh no, I'm sorry. That was okay. That's how much was on the pound. We went through 68 bags of feed last year. Yeah, so yeah, that's crazy. But with the price of if you get a pallet, like I said, if we go back to thinking about that family foam wow. Family Farm and Home credit card, or if we can use tax return money, they give you a 5% discount on pallets. Now, we have called everywhere in the area this year, and Family Farm and Home is still the cheapest place. And if you get a pallet discount, if you don't get a pallet discount, it's 21.71. With the pallet discount, it is 20.49, and that's with it being on sale. So what you do is hit, oh, the feed birds or the meat bird feed is on sale, and you go in there and you're like, or you can call and be like, I want to order an entire pallet. They're going to give you a 5% discount on that sale price, and then boom, you're going to be down to $20.49 per bag. That is including tax. Okay. So I put some other here. I've never used a Purina before. But again, that one's 40-pound bag, for 21.49. Um, Calmback. This one is the medicated one. That one's more expensive. So, I'm not really a fan of the medicated stuff. I feel like it's unnecessary antibiotics. The only time I've used the medicated feed for any of the birds, I used the medicated chick starter when I had birds that got attacked by the dogs and I had to sew them up myself. I didn't feel like doing shots of antibiotics on them. So I just got them some medicated starter feed and it worked great. Like it was perfect. Um and then of course this lovely organic stuff down here is 35 for 27.99. It's just insane. Okay. So how much do they eat? Oh my gosh. So much. So much. Each bird is going to eat 3 to 18 pounds. Or, yeah, that's right, and up to about 8 weeks. And you can feed them up to about 12 weeks. I would not go over 12 weeks. If you go over 12 weeks, they're not going to get any bigger. I mean, unless they're really small. But if you're doing this right, you should not go over there. We'll talk about this in the next couple slides here. So if you want to see like how much, so like I know that's a huge range right there at 3 to 18, but you're going to have a wide range of birds when it comes time to butcher because your hens are going to be on the smaller side and your roosters are going to be on the bigger side. So if you wanted to split the difference, do it right down the middle and do an even amount, add it up with whatever feed here you prefer is going to give you the amount of how much feed you're going to need to see if you should invest in a pallet. And if you can't invest in a pallet, that is totally fine. Just buy it like you're going to the grocery store and you're getting your regular groceries. You're just going to get a couple bags of chicken feed, just budget it in little by little. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. Just make sure that you do have enough to budget it in because you don't want to get to the point where, and I've seen this so many times, I've even had to go pick up birds from people. Their birds get to about the 6 week range. They can't keep up on the feed and they have to give their birds away because they can't feed them anymore. It's super sad. You don't want to invest all of this in here and then get to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have the money to feed them anymore. Like, you can always butcher them, but they're just going to be so small still. Okay, so dressed out. So it's going to be about 70% of the weight. And I think this is my next slide. Yes, here. Okay. So what that means is that when your birds are at their full size here, their live weight, okay, so they're still alive, and you pop them on the scale. We actually got an infant scale, like it's not like the ones that you would see at the doctor's office particularly, like it's a plastic one, but it is like a real infant scale. So we got one of those, probably out of somebody's trash because I know we didn't pay for it. Works like a charm. You just stick that chicken right on there, and however much that chicken weighs, approximately about 70% of that is going to be how much they're going to weigh after you pull their head and their feet and their guts out. So if you have, okay, so now look at this chicken over here on the side. This was our biggest chicken last year. It was a freak rooster. There was none of them were this close. Like we had a couple 9 pounders. Most of them were 7 to 8 pounds. Um, but it happens. So this guy was 9 pounds, 5 ounces after he was cleaned up, which means like he weighed more than 12 pounds here. So he was a beast. I wish I would have weighed him. I didn't weigh a lot of them last year because I was just like, it's time. Like they are ready. So the majority of our birds were about 7 to 8 pounds. So they were about 10 to 12 pounds when they were ready to butcher. And this scale right here, take a screenshot of it. You're going to need this because when you're like, when do I butcher my chickens? I have no idea. What you're going to do is you're going to say, or you're going to bust out your scale, and that could be the one that you weigh yourself on. And you're going to weigh yourself, and then you're going to have somebody hand you a chicken, or you're going to have a chicken in a box. And you're going to pull this chicken out and you're going to weigh it and see how much more you weigh. And if your chicken weighs 7 pounds, oopsie, your chicken weighs 7 pounds, you are going to know that your chicken is going to be about 4.9 pounds when it's ready to go in the freezer. And if that's good, if that works for you, then it is time for you to butcher. But if you are larger, and you can even go smaller if you want, I would definitely not go under this right here. Like that's just a waste of time and money and energy and effort if you go any smaller than that. Some people prefer like 3.5 to 4 pound birds. That's pretty average. That's what they sell at the grocery store. But if you have a lot of kids and you have the ability, just keep going. It's so much cheaper to just feed the ones and get them a little bit bigger than it is to start all over again with the whole entire process. Um, and this happens over the course of a couple of weeks. We like to feed them during the day, and then when they get bigger, well, the chicks are fed constantly, and then at about week 3 or 4-ish, like it's definitely a watching them type of process. If they start becoming like more lethargic, like they're not moving around as much, cut back on the feed. But if they're still running around and pretty active, like these guys down here in this picture, This is the part, so you can see part of our greenhouse and look at all of them in there. Oh my gosh, they're crazy. It was like probably late feeding in there. And so this thing is completely predator proof. You can see like we put and it's falling apart, so we're gonna have to patch it. We put like cement around the whole entire bottom of the thing. And on the inside it has like gravel and wood. So it's like super, super predator proofed in there. And I love this because it shows like, okay, we have this fencing here. And it was like if you can see like the metal fencing right here, it's all patched. It's like a giant square fencing that had huge holes, but these guys were getting out of it. So in the back, I put some deer netting. If you can see the deer netting here, I put some deer netting over there. And that kept them out. But this top, this piece of metal right here, this is what we were putting over the top of the stock tanks when they were little. And it's some sort of metal shell from somewhere. I don't even know where it came from. And that thing, it's amazing. But anyways, these little guys right here are probably in the 5 to 6 pound range right here. They might be a little smaller than that. These all look like hens right here in this picture. But these are a good idea of what meat birds look like. You can see that their feathers are patchy. Their tails don't really come in. And look at all of the poop everywhere. So much poop. And I have a 3 gallon water here. So yep, that is the gist of. All right, and make sure you guys double check to make sure you guys got this screenshotted here. Okay, let's go on. All right. So processing and butcher costs. Oh wow. We are like I'm not anywhere near done. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. They went and got raw milk from the farm and they just got back. So, okay, so processing and butcher costs. Um, this is something where you can spend as much as you want, or you can, kind of make do with what you have. I did go through and figure out all the pricing for you. On the next slide, so you're gonna need a scalding pot. Usually a turkey fryer works great. And a thermometer, a knife. I like a butcher knife and a smaller one, a knife sharpener, and a cutting board. Freezer safe bags and labels. A plucker is definitely optional, especially if you have lots of children. Many hands makes light work. Kill cones, 5 gallon buckets. And you need to think about waste disposal. What are you gonna do with all of your waste after you gut these chickens? Like, where's that gonna go? So what you need to do is you need to check with your waste removal company to see if you can dispose of them in your garbage. Sometimes they have to be double wrapped. Some places don't accept them. You might actually have to take them to the dump. Some alternative options are to put them in the compost. I know lots of people say don't put meat in the compost, but if you do it right and it gets hot enough, you can definitely put it in there. I wouldn't put it in a place where you want to use it soon. It would definitely need to be in a place where it has time to break down for a couple of years. If you have pigs or laying hens, I know like feeding the chicken is like the worst sounding thing ever, but seriously, like I'm here to save money, okay? And those chickens will eat anything. And that means other chickens. So we will throw them in with the other chickens. You can also burn the stuff. And put the ash in the compost or the garden. That's another option. And then the bones, you can make bone char with them. Put those in the garden too. Um, Bone char is on my list of new projects to do this year. We did a little bit of charred wood at the end of the season. Last fall and then put it in the compost to inoculate it, and then this year it will go into the garden. I've done ashes um previously. That works too. Okay, so where are we going to buy these things? Okay, so I priced out like all of our options here. Kill cones, the cheapest ones I found were on Amazon. It was roughly about $28 for one or 70 for four. So I am actually going to be buying the 70 for four ones this year. We're still in our process of switching over from using what we have to being able to afford now some nicer things. So what we did with the kill cones for last year and in previous years is we took like a 5 gallon water jug and we cut it in half and used the part where the water comes out of the top of it to pull their necks through. And yeah, it worked just fine. Like we'd zip tie the handle to a piece of wood. It totally works. There were some flaws with that, but you know what? Use what you can. It was cheap. People usually are getting rid of them. Or, if you're like us, something's gotten a hole in it at one point or another, and they were just laying around. So it was something easy. I've seen people use all sorts of stuff. You can even make them out of metal if you wanted to. Just it's another area of something to get creative for. A turkey fryer, 30 quart one on Amazon, a cheaper one was $65 and a more expensive one was $100. But that was the going price depending on, which one you wanted. Buy one that comes with a thermometer. That just makes sense. Okay. Um, and let's see. So I put my favorite brand of knives on here. I like the Rada ones. And specifically this knife, this Rada steak knife or the stubby butcher knife. They're pretty dang close. I prefer the steak knife. I'm not gonna lie. That one is they're either gonna be 13 or $15 depending on which one you buy. If you get the steak knives, you can get them in a bigger kit for cheaper for sure. I think they can get them down to like $9 or something. Just watch the prices, they're gonna fluctuate. If you don't want to invest in these ones, just use what you have because that just makes sense, right? And then the chef knife. Of course, I just like these ones because they're light. The handles are aluminum. I'm 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 not over here like wanting to hold like when I'm butchering, we'll do 30 or 40 birds in one night and that knife gets heavy after a while. So I like a nice light knife. But use what you have, of course. A cutting board. Um, so I have plastic cutting boards and I have wood cutting boards. When I'm working outside doing this, I do prefer the plastic cutting board. But um, you're gonna to get a cutting board, the size like because I like the bigger ones. They're about $50, and that goes for wood. Plastic's gonna be a little cheaper. Avoid the bamboo. The bamboo is just cheap garbage. It really is, especially when it gets too wet. Just avoid it at all costs. You don't want to invest in a cutting board, just use what you have. It's not a big deal. You can still butcher one on a little tiny one. Hell, I've butchered them straight on the table before. We have a metal table. It works. Poultry shrink wrap bags with zip ties and labels. I got those straight off Amazon. They were $50 for 100 pack. Those are the best ones to get. They're just wonderful. Hold on. Oh gosh, I had to crack my neck here. Okay. So, I love those ones. We did the shrink wrap bags. Last year, and I love those so much. They're so much easier to do than the first couple of times we did them. We put them in the vacuum sealer, and that was just a mess. Okay. A poultry plucker, definitely an optional thing. You don't have to have one. Those are going to range about 350 for a cheaper model plus. Like I would not get anything under 350 when I was researching them. I have not decided on the one that we're getting this year, but after doing 200 meat birds last year, we definitely want to get a plucker this year. So, all right. And family farm and home, you're gonna need a propane tank. We just have a 20-pound one. We also have a bigger one, but a 20-pound one is perfect. Because you're gonna want, I mean, you can get an electric turkey fryer one. But if you don't want to be attached to the house or have to have an extension cord ran, and plus I think they might be more expensive, you're gonna need a propane tank. It was like $60. And then the cost of propane. And then I don't know where you would want to buy them. So if you live in Michigan and you're close, there is a place in Owasso that they sell like reused paints that the big stores are getting rid of, and they have buckets there that are like $3 a bucket. And it comes with a lid. But most places are going to sell 5-gallon buckets for $5. You don't need a lid, but you're going to need at least 2 buckets. One to catch the blood after you behead them. and one to wherever you're butchering at so that you can scrape the guts out right into the 5 gallon bucket because you're not going to want to just do it right on your feet. So you're going to want to put that in there. I recommend it at least two. If you want more kids working in more stations, you're going to need more. The feathering is pretty, it's a bit messy, but it's not bloody or anything. So, um, you don't really need one specifically for each person that's plucking. You can just scrape them all in on the table or whatever. Okay, let's see. Frugal tips. So if you're ordering meat birds, okay, I told you guys about this. If get the sale price if you're ordering a large amount. Okay, another cool tip that we have used in the past is if you go to the farm store, like if whether it's Family Farm and Home, Tractor Supply, or whatever other ones are out there, you ask if you can be put on the list so that at the end of summer or the end of bird season that they're not going to put used stock tanks back out on the floor. They sell them at a discount to people. So ask if you can get put on a list and say, hey, when you guys are done using these for the year, can you give me a call and I'll come in and buy the stock tanks because you can get the stock tanks for a really good price. Um, and okay, so like here, get like I said, get creative and use things that you have. Just make sure the chickens are safe. I know it can be really tempting when they're little to just want to use like a bowl of water, but they will drown, and then you will have wasted money. And garbage pick. When you start driving around, look for fencing or windows or pieces of wood or any other things that you think that you might need. And just like start like manifesting that into your world, right? Like I need this and that's an easy way is to just start looking on the sides of the road, see if you can get what you need. And ask in free groups. Okay, so I feel like this is like something that we don't first think about. Like if I need something, my first thought is I have to go buy it at the store. But I've gotten myself into thinking of asking the free groups. Say, hey, I'm doing this thing, XYZ. Like, I need fencing. I'll say we need some fencing. Ask in the free group, tell them what you're doing. People love stories. They love getting to know you. They love knowing what you're doing with their stuff. It makes them feel good about giving their stuff away because you never know. Somebody might just be having this roll of fencing in a pile behind their shed, and your story, triggers something in them, and they're like, "Oh, I want to give you this thing." And then it saves them from having to have this pile of something that's not being used. And then you don't have to buy it new from the store, which saves from this whole consumerism thing. And I love garbage picking and free stuff. It's just amazing. So just ask. And the worst thing is nobody's gonna comment it, nobody's gonna say anything. And ask in all of your local groups too, because you never know what's out there. Um, and even like when it comes to like feed and watering dishes sometimes too, I mean, you just never know. Um, and buy used on Marketplace. Always, always, always check Marketplace, or if you have like a favorite like resale site shop, check there first before you go out and buy something new because lots of times people are getting out of something and they'll sell all of their stuff in bulk. Like the other day, um, somebody was getting rid of all of their beekeeping supplies. They were completely getting out of it. They had like two active hives, their bee suits, the fogger and all sorts of honey supers and just all of the accoutrements that somebody would need to start it. But it was probably like $5,000 worth of stuff easily. And they had it on Marketplace for $1,000. It was legit. We asked about it. It was such a steal. We did not get it, unfortunately. But yeah, it's out there. This stuff is out there. Don't be afraid to ask people questions too. Um, and don't be afraid to call around and price match everything. So if you don't know, most stores will price match stuff from other stores. They'll price match stuff from Amazon. And they will also price match from their other stores. So, pro tip here, for whatever reason, if you are like local to Michigan, you'll know specifically what cities I'm talking about here. And even if you're not, this is something to look into. There's a store in Howell that is probably like half hour from us. And for whatever reason, their meat bird, or not their meat bird, their lane hen food is consistently like $3 cheaper per bag than it is everywhere around us. And so when I go get meat bird food, I'm like, hey, can you price match to the Howell location? And they're like, sure, can I see the price match? And I'm like, sure. And I hold up my phone of their website and they give me the discounted price. But it is always a good idea to call around and price match because the worst something somebody's going to say is, I don't carry it. This is the price, and you're like, holy shit, that's expensive. Um, whatever. Um, including the feed. Okay, so one thing I noticed last year that was super interesting about the feed was that the price went up and down all year everywhere. Like we had a problem getting the meat bird feed in at one part during the summer, and Family Farm and Home didn't have any. And we had to call around to places around here, and we would go get some one day and it would be cheaper at this place, and then the next day this place would be cheaper and this place would be super high, and it was just all over the place. So if you are buying food week to week, definitely call around if your favorite place is out. Don't be afraid to bug people, keep calling. um do what you have to do. And then my best piece of advice here is to take care of your stuff. And I say again, put everything in the tote, put it in a safe, dry spot for next year, because your biggest investment is also the inanimate objects that are a part of pulling all of this together. And you don't want to have to replace things every single year because that is going to add up into the cost of your meat birds in the end. Okay. So let's see. These are some pictures of what we have done in the past. And before I explain these pictures, I just want to say that, and I don't know why I didn't put this on here. We averaged about $10 to $11 per meat bird last year. That was our final price. And so when we were looking at that compared to the size, not even the sizes in the store, our birds were half the cost and twice as big. So really that ended up being like what, like only 25% of the cost. This is definitely worth it. It is an upfront investment, but for us, it is definitely an amazing option. Okay, so in this top picture here, this was what we called a kind of like a little teenager playpen, so that they kind of got to come out of their stock tanks during the day and play around in the grass on the warmer days. We like enrichment. We like the birds to get out and play, move around. We're always throwing grasses and all sorts of, you know, clumps of stuff. They can get like if you throw like clumps of dirt if they're not straight on the ground, it really I like putting little trees of dirt in there too. So they can get little rocks and pebbles and stones and stuff. So it helps them break down their food. So it's always fun to do. And oh, and another thing I like doing is putting branches in the stock tank. I think in the next slide there's some branches in the stock tank. But here, this was from our class last year. We had some wonderful friends come out with their kids, and all of our kids had a fun time playing. And I got to teach everybody how to butcher these chickens. It was so much fun. Oh my gosh. Like, I had so much fun. I never knew that like butchering chickens could be so much fun. Yeah, it was amazing. This was my fancy rotisserie chicken here down in the corner. And like the flavor of growing your own chicken, it actually tastes like something and not just some stuff at the store, you know? And yeah, it can't be beat. And here we are. This is our dunker. So before you can pluck them, you got to dunk them in the hot water. You can see this is a turkey fryer. We actually garbage picked one, I do believe, and then this one we got like from somebody for like 20 bucks on Marketplace. And what you can't see right here behind it is the tank, the propane tank. Um, and then the thermometer handle right here. Super easy setup. Doesn't have to be complicated. You can just dunk that chicken in there and the feathers come off. Super easy. Okay, and then yeah, so here's some really great ideas of things. This was like a couple of years ago. This is my husband and my daughter. Like we first did we've kind of moved our setups around over the years, seeing what's better, what's not. We'll be moving back to this setup for this year. Um, like my couple of my daughters pulling the guts out. And look at here's a heat lamp right here. So this is an example of what a brooder chain uh um container looks like. This is a small stock tank. And then it has, you know, a 1 gallon feeder in it, one of these 1 gallon water and a feeder. And we have a heat lamp right here. So I wanted it to get in a central location so that the birds had plenty of room to get out of it on both sides, but also maximum space right here in the middle. Um, I actually have a shelving unit on the top of it with a wire hanging down. It was really sturdy. That thing was not going anywhere. Here is like an example of putting trays of dirt in with the babies so that they can find little pebbles and stones to help aid in their digestion. And then down here is a picture of my brooder plates right here. I have the biggest ones. Um, like I said, I've had four of these. You know what? I forgot to tell you guys, I had one of these things. I accidentally left it outside and it got rained on, and I let it dry out really good, thinking, oh, maybe it'll be fine. It was not fine. That thing blew up. Not like crazy blew up, but like it definitely made an electrical pop and scared us to death. So just make sure you don't get those things, leave them out in the rain like we did, because that was a super harsh lesson. And you can see here. I put staghorn sumac in with them to play with, and then we got more trays of dirt here. This is when they first arrived in their box, and here's some more pictures of us having fun butchering them. You can see our setup is like we have an old wash tub we found in somebody's garbage. Like you can see my plastic cutting board here, some of my knives, and then this plastic table. My husband also got that out of somebody's garbage. You know, just it's amazing the things that people put out at the side of the road. All right. And then my favorite thing at the end of every butchering session is saying thank you, chicken. So our main show focus here, guys, is these chickens. And like when it does finally come time to butchering them, we always say thank you, chicken, because after this entire experience, like, thank you, chicken. Okay. All right, I'm going to quickly go through these. I am going way over my time here. Okay, so offers in person, what we have this year, we have meat chicken CSAs. We have subscriptions this year. If you are not able to invest in your meat birds, but you are wanting homegrown meat, we have different subscriptions available. And which come down to 18.50 a month per one bird, 18.25 per two birds for 12 months, and 18 per bird for four birds per a month for 12 months. I'm just gonna go through these quickly. If you want to check them out, you can check out our website or screenshot this and look through them later. We're doing bulk buys this year. If people wanted to buy a bulk amounts of fryers, they come down to $18 per bird, $7.15 per bird, and $17 per bird, depending on how many you buy. This includes butchering costs if you want to. If not, you can take them somewhere else. I don't care, whatever you want to do. Another in-person thing is our meat bird butchering classes. So we have 2 dates scheduled right now. I'm about to throw a third date up for the weekend before, I think on Sunday, June 7th. That one is going to be another 2 to 5 one. And I right here I have June 14th. That one has one spot left, and June 13th has a couple spots left here. Um, we are going to be teaching you how to dispatch your chicken, pluck your chicken, gut your chicken, package your chicken so that it's freezer ready, and you are going to walk away with confidence. And your bonus is going to be taking home your chicken, which is about a $20 value, as you saw on the other page, and a 3-ring binder with written instructions and pictures, which is a $30 value. And if you sign up by March 31st, we're going to throw in an extra bonus, which is going to be an emailed version of our chicken butchering online class, which is a $49 value. So at $50 per person, you are getting a steal of a deal learning how to butcher a chicken with us. So seats are limited, first come, first serve. Up here is the website where you can find the other classes, and here is the code if you want to do it that way. And okay, this is another awesome thing. I got us all set up. I have not officially announced it. You guys are the first to hear about it. Another offers in person. So I do all sorts of classes throughout the year. This is a new one I'm starting this year. This one's called the Wild Woman Series, and we're going to start off with stinging nettles. I have 2 dates available right here, April 28th, May 7th. We are going to learn about where we're going to be finding stinging nettles, the nutritional and medicinal properties, how to harvest and blanch them, and then we're going to make nettle pasta. I'm going to be pre-making the dough. And I'll send you a video of how to do that. But because it's going to take it's got to rest for like an hour, and I'm sure you don't want to be here all night, and I don't want to be here all night making pasta forever. But we're also going to be making pesto, a cake, and tea and nettle lemonade. And you're going to walk away feeling very confident about using nettles. And guess what? Nettles are free because you can forage them and they grow pretty much everywhere around here. And a bonus is that you're going to get a 3-ring binder with all the recipes for what we're making and stinging nettle information that we're talking about, which is a $20 value. And if you sign up by April 16th, we are going to throw in an extra bonus, and I'm going to send you home with your own clump of stinging nettles so you can start your own patch at home. If you don't have some already. And if you do have some and you still want some more, then you are more than welcome to dig up some here because they are everywhere. Seats are limited, first come, first served. And that is it. So thank you guys for being here with me today. I'm going to switch off of my screen thingy so I can see you guys here. And then I'm going to open it up if you guys have any questions. Okay, stop share. Okay. Can you guys see me again? Mm, okay. Thank you. All right. So do you guys have any questions for me? I know that was a lot. No questions? I need questions. I love questions. They're my favorite. I tried to be as thorough as I possibly could, so.
Miranda.
Yes, dear. Hi, how are you?
Hi, good. What happens if we get too attached to our meat chickens?
Oh my goodness, that is a great question. Um, you are going to need to buy enough chickens that you don't get attached to them. There's going to be so many of them that you're going to be like, I can't tell who's who because if you only get like 5 meat chickens, it's going to be really hard and you don't want it to be hard. You don't want to make unnecessary stress for yourself. So do like I tell my daughter, I say you can love those little chickens with all of your heart, but you can name them chicken nugget, you can name them chicken tender, you can name them mustard or ketchup or whatever food name you would like to give them. But do not get attached to them. Do not do it. You are just going to break your poor little heart in the end, and you will be sad, and everybody will be sad, and then you won't want to eat them. So buy enough that you're just like, oh, these are the meat birds. And also, we have to learn, we have to separate ourselves from our food because we need this food to nourish ourselves. And these birds are being born. They are given as a gift to us to nourish our bodies. And the best thing that we can do is to honor them by taking good care of them and then enjoying eating them. and thanking them. And you can even during the raising of them process, thanking them all of the time and being so grateful for their life. And then when we do butcher them, we're saying, thank you, meat bird, so much for giving your life for me. It's such an amazing sacrifice. And then when you go to eat it, you are going to sit on the table and you are going to do it again. You're going to say, meat bird, thank you so much for giving your life for me. You are such a blessing. And really feel into that, because that's what's going to make this process so much easier. Okay. All right.
Um, so I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Out of the birds that you buy, how many do you have that fail to thrive or fail to make it to that teenage phase?
Okay, great question too. So last year we had one bird that was failure to thrive. It was a little rooster, and I think his name was Mustard. Was his name Mustard? Yeah, his name was Mustard. And he was so tiny. He just did not get any bigger. So it was one out of it was right around 200. I think, like, 'cause they always send in a couple of extra. I think that we lost I would say probably maybe like five to getting trampled. Um, a couple of them got trampled in the brooder plates. It happens. They get buried in the wood chips. They get too cold. Too many birds sitting on top of each other. If it's just too cold out. On really super cold nights, we sometimes add a space heater out into the greenhouse. Especially like early in the season to prevent the piling, because they will pile. But usually the when you order them, they send a couple of extra anyways. So it's not as big of a fluctuation. If you're worried about that, just add like an extra handful to your mix so you can get as many as you need. And that way, if you have extra, cool, but if you lose a couple early on, it's not as big of a deal to your overall plan. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Um, I was also, I texted in the chat, but
Mhm.
wondering, so you said that you calculated out your price per bird to be what, between 10 and $12, you said?
Yeah, so it was about $10 to $12.
And
And
your average weight return
Our
was
average
what?
weight, well, our average weight bird was around 7.5 to 8 pounds. I did not since there were so many of them, I did not weigh them all and break them all down. I wish I had. I will do that this year because I wish I would have been able to say, oh, did my screen freeze? No, okay, it's froze on my thing. All right. I wish that I could had an exact answer for you. But it was about 10 to 11 pound or 10 to
Maybe it is
$11.
frozen.
Oh,
Just not
okay.
to interrupt you, but
Oh
maybe.
no. It's not working. Can you go get data? Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna keep talking. So it was oh, now I lost my train of thought. Okay, see up there goes my camera. Okay, the battery might have died. That's okay. Um, so the birds ended up weighing about 7.5 to 8 pounds. That was our average. So if you want to go ahead and do some math right there, I am way too tired to math that out right now. That will definitely be included in next year's version of this. And after I do this year's version, and I can actually like just have Lisa pass on the information for you if you guys want an exact of what I ended up with this year, because I'm super curious about it too. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's probably under $2 a pound,
yeah, that's
averaging
what,
out somewhere, but it would be nice to have an exact figure. So yeah, we'll
yeah.
definitely keep up with you.
Right. Yeah. So that was like one of the things that really started getting me focused on doing the meat birds in the first place was how much fluctuation there was during COVID about the price of chicken. Like we were looking at, chicken being like 199 per pound for a really long time. And then suddenly like it got all the way up to like 399 per pound for chicken. And this is just conventional chicken. This is not organic chicken here. And that's insane. That got to a point where chicken got so expensive, like I couldn't feed my family. Like I couldn't budget in chicken. Like, what? That's crazy. So that was when I started looking into the meat birds. And I was like, right off the bat, like yes, it is going to be an investment. Every year, your meat birds are going to get cheaper as long as you take care of your stuff. They're going to get cheaper every single year. And eventually, you'll be able to do this, and it's not going to cost you anything because you'll have made back, you'll saved all of what you invested into it. And yeah, so oh, I'm just getting a webcam up. Okay. So yeah, that's the best answer I can give you for right now. But if you'd like, I can give you a better answer for that this year for what we did.
Can do this way.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Sure, great.
All right. Did you have any other questions?
Those are the only couple that I came up with.
There we go. Webcam. Hello.
Um, hello, welcome back.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think my only other like concept maybe stretches outside of this lesson about using birds that aren't Cornish cross, but that's something we can maybe talk about at another time.
Actually, we can talk about it right now if you want to.
Okay.
So I follow a lot of people. Like I like to do a lot of research on these things. There are you talking about like different types for meat like the
Yeah.
fryers and stuff? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So there are a bunch of different kinds. And they are like I have lots of friends that do those ones too. They actually prefer doing those ones because they're less messy. They don't eat as much. They don't get as big as fast. They're easier to maintain. They're easier to keep. They're just not as gross. Sometimes like the meat tastes better.
I think some of them you can actually get them, produce them with the rooster and
Oh
actually
yeah,
have your own
that's a
eggs.
really good point too, is that you can hatch your own eggs from them. Whereas with the meat birds, you can't hatch your own eggs. So the only reason why I like doing the meat birds is because I still like to go on vacation, and so I like to have them in that short time period. But I mean, because it does take a lot longer for them to get to size. So thinking about like if you have the facilities to have them with laying hens and somebody watching your laying hens too, um, that's a great option as well. I mean, and it's definitely going to be personal preference. And I'd say if it's something that you're interested in, definitely try it and see what it's like. It's worst case scenarios is going to be an epic failure and then you'll never do it again. So, like, I'm all for experimenting and trying new things. Um, but yeah, there's so many different kinds too. I know like Bresset and like the Freedom Rangers and some people even use Rhode Island Reds. And like on the Cackle Hatchery website, they have like specific boxes that are discounted and they call them like pan fryers or like Tasty Man broiler box or something like that. Just some fun names and yeah, so
Yeah, it's definitely something that I've thought about doing. Just like I said, not sure of the time frames and everything. So
yeah, yep.
we'll see if
Yeah,
it
looking
happens
at
this year. I thought about sticking with the short time frame this year and next year trying a longer time frame, but we'll see.
that's a great idea. Another thing to think about too is like when they're going to be done because lots of times people will they'll get birds like in August and not thinking about when they're going to be done. And then you're outside or in your kitchen butchering chickens because it's freezing and it's Michigan. And yeah, so just always think about like when your done time is going to be before you get the birds because you don't want to. We've done that a couple of times where it's been awfully freaking cold outside. Um, yeah, so I have lots of lessons on what not to do.
Isn't that how you wind up learning the most?
It really is, but it kind of hurts along the way. I won't lie.
Yeah, that's why I was really excited about this class. So thank you for hosting.
You're so welcome. Oh my gosh, I love this. Does anybody else have any questions? My voice is starting to go. Like, guys, seriously, I could talk your guys' ear off forever. All right. If you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to go and snuggle some babies because my son just got his hair cut and I'm totally not crying about it. He looks so handsome. And Yeah. So, okay, thank you guys so much for being here with me today. I am going to send you guys a copy of this in your email within the next day or two, so you guys can have this forever. And of course, if you guys have any questions about anything, reach out to me. My email is support@earthhomestead.com or earthearthomestead.com, whichever way you want to spell it. Totally, totally awesome. Okay. Thank you guys for sharing your night with me, and I will see you out there in the world. Love you guys.